Here in Arnhem again. That's Nicky. He's still what they call bluffing. But Jerome, the number 2, wants to show that he counts too. And Nicky knows this. Nicky and Jerome have been close partners for years, and now and then they impress this on the colony by going round and beating up one or two of their subjects. Nobody really gets hurt, but they respect Nicky for it. Here is Walter, behaving submissively towards Nicky and towards Jerome. Spider and Son greeting Nicky politely. Amber being servile towards Jerome. But in the first place, they pay their respects towards Nicky, like Jimmy here. Walter greeting Nicky, but ignoring Jerome. Someone else doing the same thing. Nipple doing her best to curry favour. Where there's a fight, Nicky intervenes. That's part of his job as leader. Jonas is fighting Walter, but Jerome, the second man, is on his way. Here he comes. He chastises Walter. But Walter goes and complains to the first man, Nicky, and he chastises Jonas, who quickly makes it up. And here's the coming man, number 3, Dandy, with his white beard. The women don't always treat him with quite so much respect, even though, now he's reached the age of 17, Dandy wants to take his place among the great men, Nicky and Jerome. That's why he joins them. Though he prudently keeps a few paces behind them and only goes a short way. Then he sits down again. A bit later, he does it again, still keeping behind and still only a short way. Sometime later, he's bold enough to walk between the two chiefs. This gets on Nicky's nerves, and he takes it out on an innocent party. The bond between Nicky and Jerome is as strong as ever. You can see it in their greetings or the way they groom each other, which shows a mutual understanding. And the fact that they sit around together to keep law and order. Yes, they get on fine together, Nicky and Jerome. Don't think the big chiefs always act so tough. They can be very tender with children. Jerome, as much as Nicky. Jerome especially is a kind of hero to the youngsters. You can practice boxing with him. Walter, too. And when Alfonso pokes his tongue out at Nicky, he gets a kiss. Dandy likes playing games, too. Chimpanzees spend a lot of their time playing games. And they put on their "I'm only playing" faces, mouth open and only the lower teeth showing. That's their way of smiling, to show they're not in earnest. Tarzan, for instance, playing with Spider. And the children. Here he is with Walter, his older brother, with his mother, with his younger sister, and with Walter again. He's always good for a laugh. Either playing with each other or with mother's feet. What big feet you have, Mother. Only 2 chimpanzees playing here, though you'd think there were more. You can hear them laughing. Then someone goes too far and games are over. The facial expression changes. The upper teeth show. But playing games is always fun, even on your own. While playing games, Young chimpanzees get their first sexual experiences. The adult female becomes fertile every 35 days. You can see this by her sexual organ, which swells up quite noticeably. And during this period, which lasts some 12 days, she gets a lot of attention from the men. Both the youngsters and the grown-up men get closely attracted. But both Jerome, as well as Dandy, have to reckon with this gentleman, Nicky. If one of the men looks like feeling the urge to couple, Nicky keeps a close watch on him. And he on Nicky. She refuses young Tarzan. But when Nicky feels the urge, he goes straight to the point, and there's no question of refusal. That was that. Walter, the up-and-coming teenager, isn't allowed by the bosses to couple yet, but he cannot resist the temptation to chat up Crooked, who is extra conspicuous in her fertile period because of the prolapse. Walter holds his hand out. He means, follow me. He knows a quiet place. A first attempt, but she's not following. With Nicky and Jerome keeping an eye on him, Walter asks Crooked again. But still in vain. He shows his impatience. Tries again. And this time succeeds. The sight of Crooked's prolapse makes her irresistibly attractive, at least for male chimpanzees. But Nicky goes to interfere. Followed by Jerome. And Walter is punished for his sin. Dandy rather fancies Mama, but his love goes unrequited. Mama knows that Nicky is not sleeping, for Dandy is a serious rival. On the next occasion, Dandy knows that Nicky is sitting there glowering, so he minds his P's and Q's. And just when the lady fancied him too. But there's Nicky there, huh? And the younger generation always comes to have a look. Nicky does allow his mate Jerome to couple from time to time. Out of gratitude for his support or for his grooming, Jerome is allowed to go after a girl. Nicky permits that. Still, Jerome does not let Nicky out of his sight. You never know. Nicky may allow it, but that doesn't mean he likes it. It's a remarkable thing that at a very early age, young chimpanzees see how far they can go in teasing their elders. What happens if you throw sand just to tease? You get sand thrown back at you. So you better throw some and run for it. It's fun, but it's also instructive. There's lots of things you can do just to tease. The most exciting thing is being chased. There's no fun in throwing sand if you get no response. So you stop bothering. Spider lets herself be pestered for a while, but then she suddenly lashes out. Nipple always falls for it, and it pays off if you have to run for it. But with that child hanging on, Nipple always loses. So she goes and complains to the leaders. But they won't help. And the youngsters keep on being a nuisance. Here's Monique, who didn't get away in time. It's safer, if you're going to tease someone, to keep close to Mama. The young men are getting more and more aggressive and acting tough. They're imitating Nicky's bluff. Here's young Alfonso, putting on an act. He even bluffs towards Mama. But once on the ground, Mama tries to calm him down. When one of the boys has a quarrel with a woman, his friends come to help. But Walter can fight his own battles against 2 women. It's part of the training, to try and go as far as Nicky. Time to rest. In fact, that's how they spend most of their time, resting and grooming each other. They give it a lot of attention. Dandy's a bit restless. A couple of months ago, he hardly dared to walk around with Nicky and Jerome. Now look. Dandy is obviously trying to disrupt the bond between Nicky and Jerome. And if he tries to win over Jerome, Nicky gets furious. When there's a fight on, Dandy dares to intervene. But that honor is reserved for Nicky, so Nicky puts him in his place by bluffing, by jumping over him. Still, Nicky and Jerome are having to reckon with the younger man, Dandy, who is getting more self-confident and cheeky and tries to get between them. This challenge has been going on too long, and Nicky has got so wound up that he'll be taking reprisals. But first, he makes sure he has Mama's support. Dandy wants to prevent this, so he threatens Mama. In vain. When Nicky demonstrates his friendship with Jerome this way, Dandy runs for it. He gets the whole gang after him. But Nicky avoids a direct confrontation. He's not that sure. The young boys dare to attack Dandy because they know that the leaders are nearby. The quarrel's over. Dandy's been put in his place. And Nicky and Jerome are still in partnership. Dandy will have to wait for another opportunity. Walter's having another go, and this time with another tree stump. Dandy is one of the first to arrive on the scene. Because Walter recognizes Dandy as his superior, he asks permission for his plan. Then it begins all over again, setting it up, judging distances, turning it round, and changing places. And at last... Now the others want to ape him. First Mama. But she's not getting any younger. Now Jonas wants to go,